Hi, Chris Juergensen here. How are you? So every time I think I know everything about guitar, it turns out that I realize I don't know anything. Um, just by like a weird twist of fate, I came across something on YouTube about Barry Harris. Do you know who that is? Do you? I didn't know who that was. I just, I found it, and he has like a lot of really interesting, I don't know, it's like music theory um, involving bebop. So I didn't know anything about the stuff that he was talking about, and then so it really like changed my whole perspective on everything. So I'm going to talk about that today, and for me, anyways, it's really advanced. But so I mean, every time I do something like this, if I tell somebody, they go, "Oh yeah, Barry Harris, I know about that thing," but I didn't know about it, and so I'm going to talk about it. And it's sort of been, one of those, I don't know, in a way, defining moments in my guitar playing. So I'm going to discuss it a little bit, and I hope it becomes good use to you too. So I'm going to put this down. I'm going to write some stuff back there, and I'll be right back. Okay, so look, when we talk about jazz music, and I've heard this in the past and I never really understood it, but a lot of jazz musicians will tell you that there's really nothing but a 5 chord and a 1 chord, right? So in other words, today I'm talking about minor. Most people put the emphasis of what I'm about to teach you guys in the major keys, but I'm talking about minor just because I seem to like it better. But everything's about a 5 and a 1. So if we're playing in C minor, generally it comes down to the G7, which is the 5 chord, and the 1 chord. So even if we play like a 2-5-1, generally, one way of thinking is that even that 2 chord is just part of the G. It's all, any chord that you play in a key is either going to be like the 5 chord or the 1 chord, right? So that being said, I forgot what he even called it, but Barry Harris talks about this this 6 chord concept, and jazz musicians always have like some kind of affinity with 6 chords, and I never really understood why. 6 chords were okay, but I never really understood why jazz musicians had, old school jazz musicians had such an affinity for them, but I figured it out because of Barry Harris. And so I'm not taking credit for any of this. It ain't me. And so basically, when we do this, I'm going to change that C minor 7 chord. My finger's going the wrong direction. C minor 7 chord to a C minor 6 chord, okay? I'm getting rid of the 7th. And I'm going to put A on there. Right? And, I'm not going to play it that way. I'm going to play it like this. And I'll write it here for you because I'm such a great guy. This is C minor 6. This is the root, the 5th. This is the 6th. This is the flat 3rd. Okay? All right. Try that. Right? Now, here's the important part. See this G7? Musician, especially jazz, if you play any kind of jazz, you know that you see, in this situation, you almost entirely will see a G7 flat 9, right? So let's write that. This is the root, the 3rd, the 5th, the flat 7. We're going to add a flat 9, which would be A flat here, right? Right? So you get this sound. And then with the C minor 6, right? But what we're going to do is we're going to get rid of this, and we're going to look at that chord. What is that chord? Well, that's a B, D, F, A flat chord. That's a B diminished 7th chord, right? So you can think of a G7 flat 9 as a B diminished 7 over G, right? Right? This is sort of jazz theory 101. I think you guys know that. So if you don't, save the video or buy a book or something. My book or something. Right? So anyways, so we're going to play that like this. Right? I'll just write it here for you. Different voicing. There we go. B diminished 7. This is C minor 6, right? Okay. So get this sound in your head. Right? If you put a bass note under that B7 chord, you see, that's the sound that we want to get in our heads. So here comes the crazy part. So just hold on a second, or I'm going to erase that stuff so I don't have to waste your time. Goodbye. So the next important point that I want to make is that I never understood this affinity with six chords in general. But I think what it is, it's because if you notice that this interval and this interval, even though in a diminished chord, if you were going to analyze it, you would call this this interval a diminished 7, right? Because it's not a minor 7, it's diminished, because you're flattening it one more time, right? That's the difference between minor 7 flat 5 chord and a diminished chord, right? So this is a diminished 7, that interval, and this is a 6, right? But if you think about it, enharmonically, a diminished 7 interval and a 6 is the same exact interval. So you'll notice that when you play that diminished chord, that's a 6th interval, right? Right? And if you play that minor 6 chord, that's also a major 6, right? So that's why there's a chemistry between major 6 chords and diminished chords, diminished 7th chords, and minor 6 chords and diminished 7th chords, okay? So keep that in mind, okay? And I'm going to write some stuff out, okay? Okay, so look, I don't want to freak anybody out here. So what I did is I took this C minor 6 chord, and it's written right here. And what I did is I just moved up every interval. So I moved the C up to the E flat. I moved the G up to an A. I moved the A up to a C. I moved the E flat up to a G, and so forth and so on. And what I got is these 4 different inversions of C minor 6, right? So this is the first step that you want to do. The first one is this. The next one is this. The next one is this. And the last one is this. I wrote it there, but keep in mind, this is just as A minor 7 flat 5. It's the same chord, right? The 6 chords, minor 6 chords turn into minor 7 flat 5 chords with a different root. Major 6 chords turn into minor 7 chords with a different root, right? So there you go. Okay, so practice that, and I'm going to come back and I'm going to write out the diminished chords. All right, so I wrote it out for you. Let's look at the diminished chords. While the minor 6 chords are a little bit, the voice, the structure of it changes a little bit, right? Right? The diminished chords, because they're symmetrical chords, the structure of it doesn't change, right? Right? And any one of these diminished chords can be any other diminished chord. In other words, any one of those notes can be the root of a diminished chord. So it's something to keep in mind. Anyways, when we put these together, what we get is... right? So, you know, you can use this technique to just embellish a C minor chord when you have like a couple bars of C minor, you know. So, you know, for instance, right? So, you know, with me, what I usually try to do is anytime I learn a new technique or something like that, I try to make it into music as quick as possible, because that gives me the ability to, you know, make it my own. And to, you know, I mean, obviously, if you learn some information, you got to put it to good use quick, or it just becomes worthless. So get the information. This is the information. There's all this stuff on YouTube. Next thing is that you can, you know, get it under your fingers. So I mean, you just have to sort of, you know, get the chords under your fingers. I move it over to the fourth string. So what we're gonna do here is, like I said, if you don't get it into your plan, it's nothing. So use my jam track. It's just a C minor 6 jam. It's just this chord here. It's actually this one that I'm gonna be jamming on. Right? This one. Okay. So I'm gonna use all these chords, and I'm just gonna experiment, and I'm gonna try to get them in my plan, and that's what's gonna happen. Okay. So I'm gonna put on my little track over here. Right? Here we go. Look, see? Okay, so one at a time. Right? So the other crazy thing about this is that you can use all of these arpeggios over the same jam, right? It's all of a sudden, it's like, what the hell's going on? You got all these crazy new sounds, right? So I'm just going to take one at a time. You know, C minor 6. Next is D diminished, right? Next is, and then, you know, the C minor 6 starting from the minor third, or the third, right? And then we're gonna go to F diminished. Then we're gonna go to C minor 6 from the G note. And then we're gonna go to A flat diminished. A minor 7 flat 5, which is really C minor 6, right? B diminished to the C minor 6. Right. So, jam time.